Hey, welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. I am back from out west, and my guest today is, what's your name again? The Honorable Eric Eastman.
For today.
For today. Usually my co-host,
go
but
with that.
today's my guest, or I'm his guest.
That's right. We have
Be my guest, be my, where's that song from?
Oh, that's a great
What
song
is
from
Be
a
My
great
Guest?
show.
What is it? Come on, you're the showman.
Al guest, BL guest, but our service to the test.
What is it
That's from
from?
Beauty and the Beast. That's Lumiere.
Lumiere?
Yeah.
I don't
Now, if you
know.
want me to really rock it, we'll go into my old Gaston routine.
Go ahead, go
'Cause that-
for
that
it.
was my-
yeah,
that was
go ahead,
my
do
big-
it. Do it now.
That was my big song.
Uh-oh, somebody's coming in the wrong door.
That's right. We're being infiltrated. Speaking of terrorism and travel, terrorism and
right?
broadcasting. We'll save the Gaston routine to the end. I got to really get
okay.
worked up.
You gotta get worked up. You gotta get
Yeah, I can put my
psyched.
boots on the table. They got to be muddy.
Yeah, if I go speak places, I usually have to psych myself up. You know what I do? You know what I do? I'll listen to like Rodney Dangerfield tapes and
Did we
stuff. just
did
to
we
get-
tell the folks what they're watching?
Oh, rock, paper, hand grenades. You're watching rock, paper, hand grenades. Somebody's just came in the room.
Yeah, that's right.
I
They're
don't
all
know
over
who.
us.
I
They're
can't
they're
see.
coming
It's
from
all black.
sides.
Oh, somebody forgot their coffee or something.
Welcome back to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. We're glad you're here. Glad you joined us. And this is going to be interesting. I'm in the hot seat now, and I've got to
We got
face
people
off
coming-
with
We got people coming in and out of the studio,
Yeah,
going in
just-
wrong
yeah,
doors.
Come on, the bathroom's over there.
Yeah,
You know, there's
I
a
don't know.
futon in the corner. Feel free, folks.
Yeah, as long as they didn't go to the bathroom when they came in. I
Yeah,
think we're
on-
good.
or on the futon.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, I did fish it out of the.
Anyway,
back alley.
so where did I go? You were
So
asking-
yeah, you're
so-
well traveled.
Yes,
you
I'm
just came in
well-traveled.
here from the
My- my-
dusty Southwest.
My favorite brothers called me earlier this year and said they wanted to get together, and as you know, I'm a person of no means by no means, so they actually paid for most of the trip. I bought them dinner a
Nice.
few times, but we went to out west to California. My brother lives near Santa Barbara,
Beautiful,
right?
nice.
And so he says the first day we get there Thursday, we flew out Thursday, and then Friday he says, well, let's go out to, I forget what the island is off of Santa Barbara. I forget. I've posted a picture of it, and it was just brutal. It was like he's got a 19-foot Boston whaler, so we're just beating the wind all the way out. It was like 5 or 6 foot seas, so which isn't much if you're in a big boat, but in a little boat, just bam, bam, bam.
But that's how we do it in Boston. We just beat on it, and beat on it,
Yeah,
and
beat
on
it.
So-
So that was kind
until
of
morale improves.
yes. We keep, and so that was
So I'm glad you were representing
treacherous.
Boston.
It wasn't. It was like
with that
not
boat.
scary. It's just like
Rough seas are what they are.
yeah. I really don't enjoy it. And so that was nice. We went out to the cave. There's a cave out there that's about 800 feet deep or something, and it's the mouth of the cave is where they film part of Pirates of the Caribbean.
Cool.
You know, and but you go to near the end of the cave, and it's got sea lions back there yelling and stuff. It's pretty. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So then day 2, what did we do? We just hung out mostly, and then we drove out to. Where did we go first? Oh yeah, first night we stayed at the Trump Tower,
Okay.
which is pretty cool.
Was that lavish?
It's pretty lavish. Yeah, it's pretty nice. They the people in Vegas are pretty selfish about who they let into their party. So
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Trump has been able to build a hotel, but they won't let him build a casino next to it.
Ooh, interesting.
Ooh, yes, he's got
So-
this whole
I'm sure Steve wins behind that.
a little bit. So they got
that
this whole
deal.
lot right next to Trump Tower, ready to break ground. But
Yeah.
but the people in Vegas don't want to let them have part of the.
You know what that lot used to be?
No.
Or part of the Stardust.
Oh,
Stardust
really?
Hotel, yeah.
Oh,
I was
okay.
in that place before they raised it to the ground, and I even went into the lounge that coined the expression, "Hi, welcome to the Stardust Lounge."
Oh, really?
Hope you can hear me in the crappy seats, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know
that
that.
cheesy lounge lizard kind of shtick.
Right.
Yeah. I was in there like early 2000s. And then they took down the Sahara. which is just up the street.
Oh yeah, but
All these iconic properties, man, they knock them down.
yeah, it's too bad.
It's sad.
But anyway, so I went to Trump Tower. Like I said, he doesn't have a casino attached to it yet, but it was very nice. You know, it was really interesting though. So my brothers and I, it was me, my two brothers, and my sister-in-law, Chrissy, and every day we toasted Trump. Right?
Okay.
So in Trump Tower, that's no big deal.
No,
And some of the
yeah.
other places it got a little sketchy, but so we're toasting him, and we get this waiter. I think Roberto. I think his name was Roberto, and we were asking him. Says, "Well, what's it like working for him?"
Did he roll his R's when he said his name?
I don't know. No, he did not.
Oh,
No.
okay. All right. Just checking.
He said he loves Trump.
Okay.
He's been working there ever since the place opened. He's had a couple of interactions with Trump in that time period. He says he just treats people really, really nice. So the thing is, to me, that says more to me as a person who's been a blue collar worker their whole life.
Yeah.
Okay, I know what it's like. If you work for somebody that's a good people,
Right.
it's huge, and it trickles down. You know, if you're, he says Trump is really great. He says his children are wonderful.
They're decent and
They're decent,
kind.
respectful. And to me, that
Treat everyone like a human being.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that, he says, that to me, that speaks volumes, because I've worked at places where the owners are arrogant SOBs, and it's and they have no respect for anybody because they're not as intelligent and brilliant and all that stuff as other people. So I've worked with people that are arrogant, and it's horrible.
Right.
And so Trump treating his employees with that much respect, where they speak highly of him, and this is just a guy who's a waiter. He's not like middle management, and he has to toe the line.
He wasn't
And he
compelled
wasn't
to
telling somebody
tell
that
you
had any
anything.
influence.
Sure.
You know, it wasn't like, I was some sort of dignitary, and he has to say, "Oh yeah, he's great, he's great." He's like, he doesn't know us. We're nothing. And he just, oh no, he's wonderful to work for. His kids are beautiful. He just couldn't get enough. He loves working there. That is amazing.
That says a
to
lot.
me says more than just about anything else.
Yeah, feedback
So-
like that right from the street. right
Yeah, it
from the
was
horse's
really
mouth.
beautiful.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
so we went from there, and
That's,
then
nice, that's nice to hear,
Yeah.
because a lot of people, they get a lot of, or a taste anyway, of power, and they
they become arrogant.
become really arrogant, and
and the next thing you know, their poop comes out in little deodorized packets, and they're off to the races.
Wow, so that's what it's like.
Yes,
Okay,
I would know.
okay.
And so anyway, so we went from there to, I posted this all on Facebook. If you want to look at my Facebook, you'll see all the
For those of us stuck in the
pictures.
matrix, feel free
Yeah,
to
if you're stuck in the matrix, you can look at my
check out
my
face plant.
my face plant posts.
Yeah.
So then we went from Trump to, oh yeah, my lungs were not doing well.
In the Southwest, see, I'm an asthmatic, and
You would think.
in the Southwest, I thrived
Right.
because the dry heat was.
You would think
it worked for me.
That
so-
would be logical, and that's what I was hoping for, because this summer has been so hot, hazy, and humid
Oh yeah, it's been.
that
it's gotta be
I
rough.
was looking forward to going out west, getting away from everything, and,
Sure.
and maybe having a break. Nope. I went from Trump Tower to the Vegas Strip, which is like a block maybe, and
Yeah.
I couldn't breathe. And I told my brothers, "You guys want to go for a walk? Go for it. I can't make it."
Is it just off Flamingo?
I
Trump
don't know.
Tower?
I don't know.
That's
There's some
that's
Italian
across
place
street.
right at the corner. We just stopped and had dinner there.
God,
and then,
places are changing so fast there. I haven't been to the Strip in it has to be 5 years, and I used to go there all the time
Right.
because I had a friend, an entrepreneurial friend. We went there. We'd start a business. The .com boom was happening. We'd launch a business. 6 months later, we'd sell the doggone thing. Come home.
Right.
Cash out.
Yeah.
And Vegas was a great place to incubate a business. So I
Right.
got to know the town as it grew. But man, it's changing so fast.
Yeah.
Really
so,
is.
So then we went from that to, no, I'm going to forget it. It was right at Lake Powell. I forget what the name of the town is. The worst cotton picking internet on the planet. They are not in the Matrix, or not even close. But anyway, so it was just too hot for me. It's still 100 degrees. Allergies still bother me. It turns out that they got a whole bunch of rain out there just before I got there.
Wow.
So a
That's
lady,
a novelty.
Rose at Grand Canyon, I was taking a nap. So I was just spent. And Rose, very sweet little lady. She was what is it? Jehovah's Witness. She was with a bunch of Jehovah's Witnesses that passed out literature at Grand Canyon, and I just had to rest while my brothers walked around. So I was laying down. I used my water bottle for my head.
Yeah,
If you don't know, water bottles are a great thing to rest your head on. And anyway, so she comes over and says, "Hey, I didn't mean to wake you up, but there's an elk over there right now. Do you want to get a picture?" I said, "Oh yeah." So we went over and did that. But anyway, it was just she was the one who told me that it had been raining out there and things that haven't been blooming for years and years and years are all out.
Oh, everything woke up.
Everything woke up
and
just before
took
I got
the
there.
opportunity to pollinate and do its
right
thing.
before I got there.
Survival,
Yeah, I know. Their survival is my demise.
I'm sorry to hear that.
So that was I don't know what day, probably Monday or whatever. So they went out on the boat on one day, and I just said, "No, you guys are going out for 8 hours in the sun. Have fun. Leave me here. I'll hang out at the hotel."
Yeah,
We'll
air
play-
conditioning,
yeah.
climate controlled,
Yeah.
filtered air.
Absolutely. So I was fine, and and then the day we went to, I forget what the caves are named.
So
I could look it up, but I don't want to start looking through my tablet because you'll get mad at
I
me.
love doing this travelogue thing because our shows, our shows are a fun, headlong dive down the rabbit hole of local politics, state politics.
Yeah.
And sometimes other stuff, and it's just fun to talk about somebody's fun trip out west.
So the day two they wanted to go to these not caves. What do you call a cave that doesn't have a roof? A canyon. Crevasse. So we went on the canyons. It was all owned by the Indians, the territory.
Yeah, which tribe? Do you
I think
remember?
Navajo.
Okay.
And it was really cool because it was like on they put you on this pretty ratty truck that has a seats down that face outwards, and it's all open, and you pay good money. I think it was like $70 a ticket or something. It was pretty expensive, and so we go in there, and the lady seemed kind of grumpy that was doing it. So I said, "Oh gosh, this is gonna be horrible." I was not very psyched. We get there, and the lady turned out to be amazing. I think her name was Lynette.
Okay.
And she was amazing because she's going in there and says, "Oh, you got to adjust your white balance. These pictures are going to come out like garbage." So I said, "Well, I got white balance."
Photography in canyons is a tricky thing. I worked for a photographer once who used to go out there specifically to do that and he had to deal with light saturation, all that jazz.
Right.
So she was right.
Yeah, she's right. Not only is she right, she says if you got a Apple or a Mac, whatever it is, you got to do this and go here and do this. So if you got Samsung, go to your pictures, then slide the pictures over. There's a whole window there that I had never seen before. There's your white balance on the bottom right-hand corner. Adjust it to, I forget what it was, right?
That's customer service, man.
I'm going, holy mackerel, she's right. Then she took my camera. I didn't even know how to adjust it on my Canon because I'm not really a photographer. I just like taking pictures, which sounds kind of contradictory, but and she adjusts the white balance on that, so I get some really beautiful pictures in that Canon. Lynette was amazing. And you can go on my Facebook and find out the name of the place.
She's a pro. She's a pro.
Oh, she was a
does her
pro.
job well.
She was absolutely beautiful.
See, and now you're doing a TV show and talking about how cool Lynette is. People are going to want to go out there. And,
yeah, she's obviously of probably Navajo descent or Indian descent anyway. But she was awesome. I was so cotton picking impressed because she got us there early. See,
Sure.
the best time of day to see the walls of the thing is right midday when there's a lot of sun. But as far as being able to get through and out and get pictures without other people in the pictures, the best time is in the morning. So she got us in there and we got a lot of pictures looking down the lane without other people in it. So she just did everything right. It was wonderful, and it's still cool enough for me to enjoy myself.
nice.
So then we went out another place, and I got really. We started driving around because my brother wanted to see everything for obvious reason. I started getting really, really sick, and then
From the
I don't know. It could have been the altitude.
pollen
Whatever. I get
content.
pollen
maybe.
content. I was sick to my stomach.
Moisture.
It was kind of an unpleasant day after that because I get so many physical problems that it doesn't take a lot to throw me off the off the.
Well, yeah, your sensitivities are such that you're just a more effective barometer than most people. Are,
That's
you know?
one way to look at it.
And allergy meter, you know.
yeah,
you,
yeah, I'm
you
a-
just
But
you get
so
it faster.
so that was a long day after that, really long day. But then let's see, the next day we went out. I told my brothers I can go out on Lake Powell, but I only want to go a couple hours. But they couldn't do that. We went for like 5 hours, so that turned out to be an endurance test.
But all
it
in
was
all, you're
beautiful.
glad you went.
But it was beautiful. Lake Powell is absolutely beautiful.
No,
right
the whole
now,
area is gorgeous. It's nice hearing
And
about
the-
it from another perspective.
but
It's- I miss
the
it.
water level is really low right now for whatever reason.
Wow, that bodes ill for the valley.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's really, really low, which means the cliffs are much higher.
Sure.
So it looked that much cooler, I guess, for me compared to most people who go out there.
How much time did you spend in the Vegas Valley itself?
Vegas Valley?
Yeah.
What Vegas
Yeah,
Valley?
in Las Vegas.
Oh well, we only spent like one night there first.
Okay.
We come back around to Vegas afterwards.
I got it.
Okay. So then we went down to the next day after that. We went to I think that would have been Friday. We headed down to Grand Canyon,
Wow.
and that's when I met Rose, sweet little Rose, and that was beautiful. There's just so many. It's such a beautiful place.
Get the violin. As you're talking about Rose.
Yes, Rose. And I took a picture of that love. One of my favorite signs. One of my favorite signs is on the road on the south side of the Grand Canyon is a note cougars, a warning against cougars.
Like a prohibition to the cougars? Like, yo,
That-
cougars back off? Or
No, it's like like a
'Cause I'm not
warning
sure they can read
deer crossing and stuff.
Oh, that.
This is a cougar sign.
yeah, there be
Which is
cougars.
very funny.
It's kind of like there be dragons, but there's
Right,
cougars.
yes, but cougars, which I just think is super funny on a couple different levels, but
I'll bet you wanted one of those signs.
I do. I certainly do.
I know that thought crossed your mind.
And
I must have that sign.
saw a couple deer. Then we got to the big area where at Grand Canyon where everybody walks around. That's when I took a nap, and I met Rose. But the funny part was, I took the pictures of the elk there, and so we're heading back to the car. We're all done. We're heading back to the car to take off down south to stay for the night, and we saw a big mama elk right near the
Wow.
car where we had parked, right? But it had a baby really close to it, young one. And my brother Blair tried to like get out around in front of her so he could take a picture so the sun was on her instead of like in the shadow, because he's pretty good at photography.
Be careful around that mama elk.
Mama did not like that.
Yeah.
She just took a lunge towards him, and
And this is an elk. This is not Bambi.
No, this is an
Yeah.
elk. Not a male, a female elk, but still an
Worse.
elk nonetheless.
Because the child is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she lunged at him a little bit, and he says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" and ran out of there and exit stage right. It was,
Big
it was
time,
pretty
yeah.
funny.
Kind
It was
of.
very funny.
The cool thing about going out west and having just been there is it kind of reboots your sense of scale. Because around here, everywhere you look, most of the time, you can't see further than a mile.
Right.
Generally.
Generally,
You know,
yeah. Miles a
occasionally.
long way in
Yeah,
New Hampshire.
yeah. It's a rarity that you can just standing on the ground, your average grotto.
And if
or
you're out in the
wherever.
woods in New Hampshire,
Forget it.
50 yards is pretty
Yeah,
long
you're,
way.
You're lucky, but you know what? So we're used to twisty, turny, hilly, thisy, thatty, and just everything having detail and not being able to tell that you've gone from one town into the next because it's all just hills and dales.
Right.
But man, you get out there.
You can see forever.
Yeah. What I noticed was, I'm used to if I can see it, I can walk to it in 2 hours or less.
Right.
And so
Oh, yeah.
I put that theory to the test, and I was wrong because
You
just go all day and you don't feel it, and you're no close. And you can see the thing. You feel like you can reach out and touch the thing.
Right.
Forget about it.
Yeah, if you look at a mountain out west and say, "Hey, I could walk to that,"
Yeah,
you're
right
probably
now.
going to die on the way.
Yeah, 75 miles later.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's a little closer.
It's a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. The scale is amazing.
It's a big difference.
Nice shooting area.
Yeah,
You can shoot for miles and miles
that's
out
what you're
there.
looking for, and you definitely find it. I mean, right there in Vegas County, you can go to a range and rent just about
Oh yeah, they had those.
anything you want.
When we went after we left,
Blow up a Jeep.
We left the Grand Canyon. We stayed overnight at some town. Then we headed north, back to Vegas, and that was the one of the gun clubs. Big side of this hill. It said pro gun club.
Right.
I think it was after you got into Nevada, or just before we left Arizona. I forget.
Okay.
And
I don't know what the laws are in Arizona.
I'm sure they're
particularly
pretty
Nevada.
good.
They're pretty lenient.
Yeah, I would think. And so we came back to the Strip, to Vegas, and we saw. And this is one of the things I wanted to talk about anyway. Now, seeing that you forced me
Nice
into it.
segue. Look at this.
Is
the man's a broadcasting pro. I
No,
gotta tell you.
this is just the. So we went in to see Circus Delay. You can probably say it better than me.
Yes. Yeah.
How do you say
Circus
it?
of Delights.
No, Circus
You
Delay.
get that from the Ice Cream Man. In
No, it
summertime,
wasn't
right?
Circus of Delights.
No. Okay.
Circus
Cirque
au Delay.
Désolé.
What?
Cirque Désolé.
Okay. Their Beatles
Silly
tribute.
Knigget. I spoke French.
Anyway, their Beatles tribute, Love.
Really? They're doing a Beatle version?
Yes.
Wow, I've seen a lot of their shows. Haven't been in Vegas too much, and I didn't know they did that.
They did.
That's interesting.
And that was my thing.
Good singing, all the whole
It was
thing?
well,
Yeah.
they didn't sing.
No,
It was all
Just
it was,
recorded
it was
actual Beatles
recorded
music.
actual Beatles music.
Well, that's some
mostly.
royalty costs, right there.
Yeah, and the beauty of it was just amazing. The artistry, the acrobatic stuff, and the
they're
artistry,
remarkable.
and like stagecraft, the stages have to the timing is everything, because the stage has to come up, elevate this. At the same time, somebody's walking across the stage. The rest of the has to elevate so that they don't fall off the edge.
Right, or get
And
crushed.
It get
Yeah.
crushed. And it's just like you're watching all this stuff going on and it's just amazing.
Yeah, I'd like to be at one of those rehearsals. It's amazing stage. It's world class stagecraft.
It is
really is.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the thing, is like, I look at Vegas, is the result of capitalism. Okay? If you have a communist country, nobody can afford to gamble. Because gambling is going down to find out if there's actually milk at the store this morning.
So
Okay, so
that's one way of looking at it. I just okay. I've got a slightly different take on Vegas, but do your thing. Do your thing.
Take afterwards. So I'm looking at this place, Vegas, as the epitome of what capitalism can bring, and this beautiful art. I mean, it's absolutely stunning how amazing it is. Now, remember, I'm not somebody who can afford to do all this all the time.
No, yeah.
So to me, it's like, wow,
This exists? What?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been to plays and things before, but this is just so far off the charts.
That really is world class.
It was just
theater they
so
have
beautiful.
There,
And then we went to the Viennese, I think it's called. The
Venetian?
The Venetian.
My
yeah.
favorite, where the canal's running.
Yeah, the canal. Yeah, they have a
The
canal.
canals were running.
Right, yeah.
And they had the gondolas and
Yes.
the people singing and all that. Yeah.
Right.
That's still my favorite. It's been there a while, but it's still my favorite.
So
love the
I went.
Venetian.
Then we went across the street to the Viennese, and
They got a cool mall.
They've got a beautiful mall. It all looks like Italy. They got
and
they got
the
Italian
sk-
singer.
The sky, the
and-
way that the
Yeah,
ceiling is painted, you swear you're outdoors.
Right, right, and it's moving too. It changes during the day.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable.
And then they have the gondola and the canal inside the building, and
Mm-hmm.
all of this is only possible because of capitalism, and because
And
people. Let me finish.
Ingenuity,
right?
yeah.
And ingenuity and creativity, and it's amazing, and yet on the streets you still have people looking through trash cans for food,
Mm-hmm.
and women being exploited. They have like trucks going up and down with big billboards about where you can call for a good time, and they got pictures of scantily clad women all over it.
Oh, in a
So
big way.
You have Vegas has the profound extremes of the human condition all in one area.
Yeah.
You have the beauty of what humans are capable of, and you have the degradation of what people are capable of, all in like compact.
You summed it up pretty much the way I did when I first was acquainted with a place. I was aghast at the excess, the largesse, and I thought of it as like this, like a melting pot, like a cauldron of human vice and virtue in one
In
town,
one spot.
in one town.
And it was
Yeah.
just is kind of great and kind of horrible at the same time.
Well, Shakespeare said, life is a deft balance betwixt good and bad. You know,
It is. It is. But
gotta
anyway,
take the good
what
with
do you
the
want
bad.
to say about it?
Something similar. It's just I thought the place was garish because I think I was a bit of a stuffy New Englander when I first went out there, even though I fancy myself as really very nonconformist and all that stuff.
Right,
But
right, right.
I got there, my cultural sensibilities were assaulted, and that's a good thing because it got me thinking outside of the little piece of geography I grew up in and that I call home.
Right.
And it got me realizing that in other places, even in this country, people do things differently. And look at what they've done here.
Oh, we w-
Thanks to Bugsy, you know.
We went to a place. What the heck? This place.
Isn't that the name of the guy, the mobster that
Yeah, I
kind
think-
of had the vision for this place?
I don't know.
For Vegas.
I don't know.
Back in the 50s.
But we went to. We
40s.
were still in California. I think we stopped at a place on the way out to Vegas, and it was called Maria's or something like that, and it was 5-star. Oh gosh, it was sketchy. There's still ketchup on the tables. The toilets didn't work. It was like, wow. But so be careful when you go out west. Just because something has 5 stars, it means that they probably have a lot of people that go to Yelp and rate their store for them.
Oh, yeah. One of the greatest little hidden finds in Vegas is when you're hungry, you go to the buffets.
kitchen.
And well, you can go there too, but some of the buffets are really affordable, like crazy affordable, and you can get this huge prime rib dinner or something like that for $12 or less.
Yeah.
Now things have probably changed.
They
but
have.
It used to be you could spend $6 and you'd just be completely full. You couldn't eat another bite because you had to wade through the smoke-filled casino to
they
get to the
still
back
do
of the
that.
building.
Yeah, they still
so
do
that you
that.
could go eat.
What was my brother was saying?
And it's set up by design that way.
My brother was saying one of the places, I forget which one it is, they have the, the walkways that are on conveyors. I forget what you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
sure.
Coincidentally, the ones going into the
The
casino.
walkalator.
Walkalator,
Yeah.
sure. The ones going into the casino are perfectly functioning.
Oh, yeah.
Guess what's happening to the ones that walk
Yeah,
out?
imagine that.
Imagine
Yeah.
that. They
you can,
were
you
having,
can check out any
they're
time you
having
like,
issues.
but you can never leave.
Right, yeah. But they fountains too. They had
The Venetian's good for fountains, and so is Bellagio. Did you enjoy the fountains in front of Bellagio?
which was that the water one?
That's the water one. They have a lake in front of the hotel.
Right, yeah, that's that.
And
That
it's
one
got
was.
the water ballet, the mechanized water ballet.
Yeah, they were doing that. I put that video, a short video on YouTube, on Facebook on that too.
Okay.
That was the.
What music were they playing at the time
um,
when you saw the water ballet?
Oh gosh.
Because when they do Pavarotti, they have a Pavarotti night, and they also
No, it wasn't
they also have a Rat Pack night, and that's a fun one. And
Oh, it was dun 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 dun.
okay, all right. And they sync it with computers,
Yeah.
and there's hundreds, if not thousands, of these water cannons. So anybody that's been to Bellagio, they know it's a
But the-
it's
but-
a spectacle.
Oh, it is. It is
really
really
cool.
cool. Then the one out in front of the hotel where we saw the Beatles. I forget which hotel that was because I'm not really good at memorizing.
Remember,
They had a fire one. They had instead
They had
of
volcano.
a volcano. Well, yeah, volcano.
but it's all done with lighting.
There's fire shooting up all
And
over
fire
the
cannons.
place.
Yeah, that's Mirage.
Mirage. Yeah, that's
Mirage.
where we saw.
That's
it.
where the Tigers used to be.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Siegfried and Roy used to
Right.
do the Tiger
That's where
show.
we saw the Beatles, and it was they had
Right.
the fire out front. That was pretty cool. Except,
Yeah.
again, it was really, really hot for me and uncomfortable. So then all of a sudden get hit with that spray of
Of heat.
heat.
Yeah,
It was
it's-
amazing, you know.
Yeah, you don't want to stand too close to the
No,
to
no,
the
no.
volcano while it's going off.
Yeah, But anyway, so
Treasure
that,
Island's fun. Did you see Treasure Island?
No. I was running on fumes by that time.
Right.
So I get to a
Sure.
few places, but I didn't go that many places because it was just too much.
Did you see, at least from afar, did you see Luxor, which is the Egyptian one? It's actually
I
a
saw
pyramid.
that as we were driving
It's a
by.
pyramid, yeah.
I didn't go.
Did you
in.
see it at night from
From the road?
the road?
Yeah.
And you saw the light at the top?
I don't. I think so.
One of the coolest things you can do is go to the western edge of the valley where there's, it's a nice residential community called Summerlin and golf courses and all that for the more well-to-do folks. And they live in Summerlin and it's in the valley, but it's west of the Vegas Strip.
Yeah.
You go there at dusk and the sun's setting over the mountains. So once the sun clears the mountains, now it gets dark real fast
Yeah.
because there's mountains there and the sun gets below them. And that's when all the lights come on in Vegas. So for a cheap thrill, you just drive out there, park the car, get a picnic basket, and watch the lights come on in Vegas. And the Luxor light is so powerful that it literally can be seen from space.
Wow.
So it's right at the pinnacle of the pyramid,
Okay.
and it just shoots straight up to the heavens.
Wow.
It's just cool to be there and watch all this stuff come on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That is. I didn't think
One
of
of the
that,
cheap
but-
thrills of Vegas.
Cheap thrills.
Yeah.
So anyway, before we
It's a
run
good
out of
time. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you.
You're a changed man. You've seen all that Vice. What are you going to do now?
Oh, I don't know. Did I tell you how much I spent on gambling?
I don't know, $5-10.
5.
5.
I spent
I was close.
$5 on poker chips.
Wow. What'd you win?
Nothing. I didn't spend them. I kept them. They were like $1 a piece souvenirs.
So you won some souvenirs.
I bought 5 souvenirs
5 of
for
them.
$5.
That's awesome.
It's probably the best deal in Vegas. Really.
For real.
For
Yeah.
real.
Vegas is I think in the Urban Dictionary it's synonymous with vacuum cleaner for your wallet.
Yeah, that's
That's the whole
as
town
a,
is
as
set
a
up.
legislator. That's all I saw.
Right. This place
This
is a
is
big
a giant
vacuum
vacuum cleaner
and
to
I'm
suck
feeling
up
the-
everybody's
feeling
disposable
the tug
income.
on my wallet. Exactly.
Yeah, it was. If you watched the people at the machines,
It's
it's like,
obsessive.
it's not good.
It's worse than the faceplant thing that people
Yes,
do.
yes,
like
it
this.
is.
Did you know it's the same brain center that gets stimulated with internet addiction as with gambling addiction?
I would think, yeah,
It is.
makes sense.
Yeah, instant gratification. Oh my god.
Yeah, more.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
And woe be unto you if you approach one of the machines that somebody's been babysitting and obsessing over for 3 days.
yeah, especially if you win, they'll probably kill you.
Someone almost did. Yeah.
Oh, really?
I won $20 off to one-armed bandit after finding a quarter on the floor walking through New York. This is like 2002 or 2003, and you could tell this person had been camped out, a little woman of Oriental descent, and she was just very intent on, and not that any of that's relevant, but that happens to be who was there. And she was just really intent on staking out this bank of slot machines, and these are the mechanical ones, the analog ones,
Right.
before they replaced them all with digital. So you literally had to pull the arm, and it was a
Right,
big cliche sitting there. She was playing them, had to have been for days. Cigarette butts everywhere, drink cups. It's astonishing. And I won $20 off of one of them. And if looks could kill, man.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was crazy.
Well, you know what's really funny is my wife is not a gambling person. She doesn't care about that. Her brain center doesn't work like that. I know my brain center might get addicted to it. That's why I stayed away from it.
Okay.
All right. I just know me, and it's no, that's not smart.
Yeah, right.
So I just, the best thing to do is just stay away. So, but I went out to, I was in Reno many years ago with my wife, and she's putting a quarter in this machine just to do something.
Yep.
Pulling the lever, and she keeps winning. And the one of the people working in the casino goes over and says, if you put 3 quarters in, you can win the big prize. She goes, yeah, I don't care. I'm having fun. She keeps winning. She's making more money.
That's how they suck you in, is they,
Right.
they get you thinking.
But she's not like that, so it didn't work on her. So she just kept putting a quarter on, and until finally says, "Excuse me, ma'am, there's something wrong with the machine. They had to adjust it."
No,
And
there
all of a
isn't.
sudden, her odds
Free and clear.
changed for some reason.
I walked in here, and I played the machine as found. So you don't get to suddenly say that it's malfunctioning because I'm beating the house.
Right? Yeah. Well, apparently they do because it's their house.
Because they own it. It's their
Yeah.
house.
So
Yeah.
I thought that was telling. Anyway, so that was my trip. So
Cool.
I wanted to talk to politics about the press and people brainwashing America.
All you got to do is flip on the tube, man.
Right.
It's all infotainment, and most of it is manufactured. I mean, that's not. I know that's going to sound like conspirial nut talk for some people, but I know that there's a lot of journalists that have integrity. They exist. I know they're out there. It's not a myth, but
Not
I mean,
most of them.
the people that own the conglomerates, the people that own the networks, that's a different story because they tend to have an agenda. And so what you're getting is digested baby food. You're not getting the whole story most of the time.
Well, I think they're not even after the story. This is my point. I don't think
Yeah.
they care about the story. I think what they do is because psychologically, if I say Eric wears army boots or Eric's mother wears army boots or something. Okay.
Exhibit A.
Exhibit A, yep. Anyway, but if I say on newspaper headline, Eric wears army boots, right? That image goes into a person's brain. Once that image is in the brain, it takes a lot to refute it.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it goes in that, Eric Eastman wears army boots, people say, oh, okay.
And they accept it as fact.
They accept it as fact. And then maybe if you read the article, maybe there's actually something that contradicts that he only wore them once, or that he seldom wears it. But most people won't read that article.
No.
Okay, so they have this image.
They won't
in
learn
their
the
brain.
modifying
now,
information, yeah.
If somebody comes out a week later and says that's not true, I've never seen Eric in army boots. It takes a few of those stories, if ever, to undo that original
Impression, yeah.
that's
Yeah.
in the brain.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stories that the news media are running with are not about informing anybody. They're about brainwashing you. If you look at the past,
They're about creating a narrative that's,
creating a narrative.
or the groundwork for a narrative that's going to be
so
easy to build.
If you look at the last year and a half or 2 years almost, year and a half since Trump was sworn in, and you go to like the New York Times or CNN, almost every single story is negative about Trump. Okay?
I would believe that. I haven't
Right?
seen them, but I'm not surprised. Yeah.
And if they reported it fairly, they'd say, well, we don't like, because he says some stuff that I don't think he should say. Obviously, a reasonable person wouldn't say those things. Whatever.
I'd hope for a bit more finesse from
Yeah,
a
it'd be
person
nice.
that aspires to world leadership. But
But
hey,
whatever, it is what it is, right?
Sure.
So I understand those stories. But you would think they would also have stories, well, the GDP was, 4.0, which never was the case when Obama was in office. And all these other stories that are positive, like for instance, black unemployment, I think it's either lowest ever or very close to the lowest ever. The unemployment for teens or young people is lower than it's been in 20-something years. The unemployment for Hispanics is lower than it's been in forever. The unemployment period is lower than it's been forever.
Are these national mean averages, or
Yeah,
are they
yeah, national.
regional, or
They're national.
they're national?
Yeah, New Hampshire's got pretty low unemployment forever anyway, so
Yeah.
we're probably not seeing it as radically,
Sure.
because he's brought like 50, like you would think there would be headlines in the Times about the, I think 50,000 or 500,000, I forget, manufacturing jobs he's brought back. Remember, Obama was
He's brought back, or the improving, reviving economy has brought back.
Correct. Yeah, either way. He's the one who made the changes that allowed it to come back, the taxes and everything else, the change in the tax structure and everything else. They're coming back, and remember, Obama said those jobs are gone forever.
Can we credit legislators with some of that work?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
but still, Trump's the one who gets the blame, but he also gets the credit.
Sure, somebody had to sign it,
Correct.
The buck had to stop
Somebody
somewhere.
had to work to try to get that done.
Okay.
Then so the unemployment, the industrial base is building back up again, which is super important for national security, but people don't know that.
Sure.
And then there's we're now the largest oil producer in the world. That just overcame that hurdle.
Yeah, that's news to me.
Yeah.
I didn't know
I mean,
that.
there's all kinds of these positive things that are happening, but you don't see them in the paper. You'll hear Trump said this or Trump did this, and it is all a narrative to hit people with these headlines, so they get constantly barraged with this horrible things that Trump's doing, and I think it's deliberate. I don't think there's any. I think they're trying to brainwash the people into hating Trump. Period. And I think that's why people are shutting off the news. They're shutting off NFL because the NFL and ESPN have turned into political commentaries more than
That's what I hear.
people used to watch the NFL on Sunday nights or Monday nights to get away from all that.
So, I'll make a confession. I've not been a TV guy for about 12, 15 years.
Yeah.
And so this trend away from pure broadcasting, based on the theme of the event, whether it's football or anything else, I didn't know that was happening. That they're trending towards social commentary and
Yeah,
politics.
ESPN is really is tanking because that's what they've been doing for a few years.
Are they losing ratings,
Yep.
or are they
Big
picking them
time.
up?
Yep.
They are.
Yep. So as Monday Night Football,
Interesting.
Monday Night Football last week, I think it was the lowest rated Monday Night Football game in history or something like that.
Gee whiz. In history.
History.
How do they measure that? I mean,
don't know.
I've always wondered how Nielsen ratings work and all that kind of thing.
They call people.
They literally call
They
people
literally
up.
call people. Are you watching this?
So it's
No.
old school.
Yeah,
They just
so I
call
think
you up.
so. Unless they got some new way of doing
But they
it.
can, I mean, with the digital technology now, they know what you're watching.
It could. I don't know.
Kind of like when you're on the internet, they can track your IP address, that
Right,
type of
exactly. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so I'm just talking about this. They're trying to condition people into believing a certain thing, and it's just getting ridiculous. And to be honest with you, I have heard on Faceplant more than a few people, and one person specifically asked me because of all the crap that's going on in D.C. They asked me, "Do you see are we coming to the point of a revolution?" Now I'm smart enough not to answer that.
Yeah, very smart.
Okay, but the fact that people are asking me that is problematic. They're seeing
That
this.
means something's in the air.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like for instance, this Kavanaugh hearing, okay, it's turned into an insane asylum down there.
Well, the problem is that, I mean, look, I understand hyper-partisanship infiltrating the political process and things becoming more polarized. I've watched that trend unfold. We all have.
Yep.
And, things get uglier and uglier. Political contests become, more contentious and more unkind, and sometimes just more outrageous. But this is a Senate confirmation hearing process for the highest court in the land is something that should be completely given to procedure, to the sanctity of procedure, because procedure can help keep things on track and help keep the conversation germane to the matter at hand and make sure that the vetting process is done soundly and
Correct.
thoroughly, right?
Yep.
And prudently.
Yep.
That's why we have process.
Yes.
And process really should be seen as being sacrosanct because it can save us from ourselves, from our biases
Well,
in a lot of ways. And process is now suffering. And after that, what's left?
Well, it's like in the Judiciary Committee, we deal with pro-life bills or pro-choice bills, whichever way you want to look at it. It is imperative because we have some wonderful people on that committee, and some of them are very liberal and some of them are very conservative.
Sure. Yeah.
So the process, keeping it almost emotionless and talking about the legality or non-legality and keeping the process
Right.
civil is imperative, or you can't get anything done.
It maintains a balance point, a delicate balance point between the passions, the passionate beliefs
Right.
of those that share one viewpoint or another, and the actual facts that are on the table.
Right.
And keeps us from getting bogged down in the things we want to believe.
Right.
So that we continue to accrue new information and make sound judgments based on it.
based on the information,
Yeah.
not based on emotion.
as well as the things we happen to believe down deep.
So they have.
So that's why process is so
process
crucial.
is super important. So the Democrats basically have implied that they will stop at nothing, zero, to stop Kavanaugh. Okay?
I,
Let me just.
I'm not surprised to hear that.
Okay, so.
It gives me new theories about what's going on. But
Okay, so.
Sure.
They have basically said that. They've implied that we're going to stop him no matter what. Or I forget what Senator Schumer said, but basically it was something like that. Okay,
he's more of a centrist historically in terms of his
whatever.
judicial
I'm telling you-
discretion.
I'm telling you what was said.
Than Gorsuch was.
Right. Yeah, I know.
You know, so why suddenly Kavanaugh?
You pick your reason, but that's basically what they've just determined. Okay.
Okay.
So you start the hearings off. Now you have to look at this in the big picture. People are concentrating specifically today on the report today about some woman who said something happened 30-something years ago.
Sure.
But if you have to look at this, like you say, process. Process is everything in this environment.
Yes.
Otherwise, you lose control.
It's not a judicial process, but it's
close.
darn
It's
close,
a
yeah.
pseudo-judicial process.
Yeah.
So you have the original hearings, right? People are coming up to testify. People are being paid to come in here, there, and to disrupt the process.
paid.
Paid. Okay?
Yeah.
There was one woman who was dragged out of there, who was apparently deliberately not protecting herself from her own menstrual cycle, with exposed everywhere, dragged out. That was one woman. Women were screaming and yelling. We had the handmaidens up there in the balcony. These people are all invited guests. Okay, a senator or somebody has to invite these people. They let them in, and their only purpose was to disrupt the process. It was insane.
This is a Senate confirmation.
This is a Senate confirmation, which should be dignified, respectful, and trying to acquire information to determine whether somebody is qualified to be in the United States Supreme Court.
Well, it's a deliberative process, or at least it should be on the face of it. It's not a venue. It's really not a venue or a forum within which to proclaim extreme viewpoints. It's not the place for that.
Right.
You get to do that in a lot of other venues in our society, but
We only
that's
got
not
5
one
minutes,
of
so
them.
I got to finish my point.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so that's the beginning of this process. Is insanity, and the Democrats are doing whatever they can to make this not happen. Okay.
When you say the Democrats,
Yes.
are you? That's a big tent.
Yeah, I'm not talking
That's
about.
a big tent.
Yeah, it is. I probably
So,
should clarify.
sure.
There are in Washington, D.C. and elsewhere, there are extreme Democrats. Not all Democrats, but I'll give you an example of one statement from
So party members who are
just off
extreme
the charts extreme.
in their intents and
I'll
views
give
and
you an
stuff.
example.
Okay.
So Professor
I'm
Ford.
sure that exists on the right too. By
Oh
the
yeah,
way.
it does.
But anyway,
so Professor Ford comes out with an allegation that he inappropriately touched her and tried to. It was almost attempted rape. Okay, this is Professor Ford from California. I forget where in California. It's maybe Seattle.
teaches college.
She's a teacher psychology. Okay,
Okay.
so she comes forward, but she came forward in November. I'm sorry, July. She sent a letter to Dianne Feinstein and to the paper about her allegations.
Her local paper or
No, I think it was like the Washington
Post or
No, New York Times. I think I'm not sure.
okay.
I forgot. So she sends this thing out.
Okay.
She's an activist. She's a political activist. She's not somebody that's minding her own business. Hey, I got to say something. She's a political activist.
With a demonstrated history
A
of
demonstrated history of
strong leanings in a certain direction.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
she's got pictures of herself with Soros, if that tells you anything. So anyway,
All right.
so she comes out. I think I'm going to run out of time, but anyway, she comes out and sends out this letter in July. Dianne Feinstein holds on to that letter until after the process is almost complete, just before they're going to vote.
Okay,
And
so-
then it hits the paper that he did this thing to this
well,
girl.
that's a political stunt,
It is a political stunt.
or it's
So,
it's engineering the process.
it's
but-
engineering the process, which
Yeah.
makes me disbelieve Professor Ford. Because if the Democrats actually believed President Ford was legit, it would have been brought up during the process so they could say, see, look at all this information. This guy is a pig. But I think
Sure.
because there wasn't any substantiating information, and because they couldn't make that stick, they introduced it after the fact to cause as much disruption as possible.
So we're led on
President
empirical
Ford
proof.
also wanted to speak on testify. The Republicans tried to be patient
Uh-huh.
and offered to come up on Monday, this past Monday, to speak.
Sure.
She says, no, I'm claustrophobic because of this interaction, and I can't take a plane. Really?
Okay.
30-something years ago, an attempted rape. She didn't get raped. Now makes you so claustrophobic you can't take a plane. I don't buy it. So anyway,
Okay.
Then
I'm not going to leap to conclusions there because I can't judge
already
somebody else's
I
phobias or
I
what have
already
you.
have. So
Okay.
then she says she wants to, through her lawyer, wants to testify after Kavanaugh.
Yeah, no, that's an
How-
aberration of process.
That is a complete perversion of the process.
Yeah.
Because she has to come up and say, this and this happened. Then he can come up and say, well, no, that didn't happen. This happened. I wasn't even there, or whatever.
Well, yeah, and now we are getting into judicial process.
Right,
Because
so-
we're dealing with an accusation.
Right. So it's just an
Obviously.
accusation. The other thing too is he was on Hannity no, not Hannity, some other show, and he was talking to the reporter. He says he didn't even have sex till after college.
Why is that any business of America?
Because he's so upset by these allegations. He's saying, look, this isn't me. I wasn't even there. That summer I was doing other things. He's actually released his calendar. This guy's got a calendar of what he did back then. Okay, so
We're talking a teenager here, right?
yes.
Okay.
But he was 17, she was 15 theoretically.
Yeah, there's a couple of things I
can't.
I look back on and would sweep under
Oh
the rug
gosh,
if I could.
if it was me, I'd say, oh yeah, I probably. But this isn't me. This guy gets on the TV and says, I didn't even have sex back then. I don't know what she's talking about. Now, if that was a lie, there'd be women jumping out of the woodwork saying, oh, he had sex with me, but that's not happening. So it's to me, it's what's going on in D.C. is an absolute perversion of the process.
That's
It's a
kinda-
perversion of justice. And if these women are lying, they should go to jail. And that's all I got.
Okay. Okay. So how does this square with some of the other circus acts that have unfolded and in other similar situations, other Senate confirmation hearings? I mean, this conjures up Anita Hill's testimony, for example.
That was never proven either. Actually, they did an investigation after. and
with
my
Judge
understanding
Thomas,
is
so-
that was never substantiated at all either.
Sam Alito, when he was slammed for marijuana use.
Yeah.
You know, remember that one?
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
and that sunk his battleship. He didn't get confirmed.
right.
You know, so
It's insane.
and now the states are falling over each other to legalize it. So,
I know.
it's silly.
The whole thing's insane, though. It is a complete if people have testimony that they want to, it should have been introduced during the process when it was supposed to be. Period.
Sure.
Hey, we gotta go.
Do we?
Yes.
Okay, bye, folks. Thanks for joining us in this unorthodox episode of Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades.
We have an Orthodox.